Hi everyone, Unscales PSN here, and today I'm bringing you some Crucible gameplay. I'm using the Year 2 Red Death, which I just bought on the first weekly reset after Tekken King came out. Um, so yeah, this game I was just trying to upgrade it. This was a new feature in Tekken King, which is a weekly Crucible playlist. And I believe the way this works is it's kind of like the way the weekly heroic strike works now, where in the daily crucible you'll get, say, for example, today the daily crucible was Rift. So you can play Rift once that day and you'll get 15 legendary marks. And then once you've played it, you won't get marks after that. You just have to wait till the next day to play out another daily crucible to get your marks. So the way I believe the new weekly crucible playlist works is that they put in a more unique playlist maybe, and you can play that same weekly crucible 3 times, I would assume. If it's to be like the weekly heroic strike, you can play it 3 times, 10 marks each. Maybe more because it is less marks than the weekly heroic strike. Um, but yeah, now we've got a daily crucible playlist and a weekly crucible playlist. Again, you can probably tell I'm not too sure how it all works, but it's nice to have more stuff to balance out. There's a lot of daily PvE activities in the bottom left hand corner of the navigator screen in the menu, and it's nice to have more Crucible based stuff, especially now. Ever since Trials of Osiris, Crucible has really, I think, been bigger on the agenda for a lot of people. So yeah, this is fun. This was zone control. The way this mode works is kills don't really factor into this at all, and that was a big complaint of vanilla Year 1 Destiny, was that all the modes were basically variants of Team Deathmatch, and that kills decided your team's scores in basically every mode. Now you've got modes like Rift, in which I believe kills still kind of count, but they're essentially negligible in how much they go toward your team's score. And in this mode, Zone Control, not just Control, but Zone Control, your team's score is not affected at all by kills that you get or any of your teammates get. It's instead, if you control 2 zones once every maybe 5 seconds, you'll get 20 points, 10 points per zone, and that's every roughly 5-10 seconds. And so the immediate priority is not to get kills, but to control a zone. So it's much more similar to domination in Call of Duty in that sense. In today's video, I mean, I know I don't do commentaries a lot, but it's just I've moved out to uni here and I have more free time on my hands now, I guess, in the evenings. Not really, I mean, I've still got work to do, but it's not like, I've got it's kind of like I've not exactly got as many people to talk to, at least for now, throughout the day. So I thought I'd keep myself occupied by doing some, commentaries, analysing different games that I play. And I just thought that'd be fun. So I guess I kind of just want to go over how the first week of Tekken King has been for me personally. And I know reviews have come out, and if you check out Tekken King on Metacritic right now, which takes all critic review scores and averages them out to give a score out of 100, to basically determine how critically successful a game release has been. Nowadays, anything above 80 is considered pretty much a good success, because it seems like the average Metacritic score has gone way down. For what reason, we don't know. Maybe it's just down to lack of innovation in the industry, something like that. However, Destiny's Tekken King expansion, with 22 critics being averaged out, is now 85, and one of the big guys, IGN, has actually given it a 9 out of 10. So, as opposed to House of Wolves and Dark Below, the game is getting very positive feedback, indeed, relative to the original Destiny vanilla game, which had around a 74 Metacritic maybe. This now has 85, so indeed you could probably argue that this is perhaps Destiny's Reaper of Souls Diablo equivalent. And for those unfamiliar, Reaper of Souls for Diablo basically rejuvenated what was, to many apparently, a disappointing sequel in the Diablo series. So yeah, essentially, to a lot of people, this has somewhat redeemed Destiny for them. So I guess I'll start off with stuff in the order that I played them. In terms of story, I've got to say, the story is still, this time, still quite short. However, I don't know, because of the nature of Destiny, it is a game where you replay levels all the time just because of the nature of the daily and scheduled activities. You'll be replaying missions a lot anyway. So the campaign was quite short, however, there were a lot of new mechanics in the story section this time. Some of the highlights for me were stealthing your way through a hive realm, and I guess that's the problem with vanilla Destiny in a lot of respects, is that it was so, it was basically go through an area, open a door, and shoot waves of enemies. In the Tekken King story, there's more mechanics than that. You stealth your way through stuff, you carry relics to open doors, and it's just there's more mechanics that kind of go into the story itself that make it more interesting to play. You're not quite sure what you're going to find when you play a mission in the Tekken King. Is it the most exotic set of story gameplay mechanics? Not really. The story, for me and my friends, we played it as a fire team of 3. It lasted around 5 hours or so. However, that was cut up by trips to the tower and stuff, so maybe that lengthened it. But generally, the way the cutscenes were done, which this time there's generally a cutscene before and after every story mission, really helps to get you invested in the story. The big bad villain Oryx, actually, you did care about him. Coming from me personally, a big fan of Destiny's lore. Overall, I really enjoyed the story. I gotta say, just the way characters were more fleshed out, like Cade in particular, who for me had a few laugh out loud moments in terms of how good his dialogue was. He took a comedic spin to what otherwise was a pretty serious storyline. Generally, it felt like classic Bungie in that it was a storyline you could take seriously, get invested in, with a bit of a comedic spin in there as well. Generally quite happy with the story. Really, the only complaint I think anyone could have with the story this time was its length, which, to be honest, while maybe a tad longer than the vanilla storyline length, still was very short. But again, that's countered by arguments where you could say, you'll be replaying the missions a lot anyway. So in terms of replayability, you get a lot out of it. The new patrol area, the Dreadnought, just amazing. This is by far, I think, no one would argue, it's their favourite patrol area now. A friend brought this up with me. It feels very much like Terraria in that there's a lot of secret little Easter eggs and secret little methods you have to pull off to find, all the gear and open all the chests in the Dreadnought itself. Essentially, you can find secret items, and then you have to do these very obscure procedures with them to find these secret rituals in the Dreadnought and beat these hidden enemies. And then after that, you get all this hidden loot. And generally, the Dreadnought, it truly feels like a maze when you're going through it. I don't know how big geometrically or geographically the place is relative to other patrol areas. To be honest, it's probably the same size, but it feels massive to go through, and it doesn't feel like you're constantly being funneled 1 or 2 lanes every time. Like it feels like a spider web in how you can navigate it. There's always new paths to tread, and it feels immersive. The music is amazing. Marty O'Donnell is gone, yes, but the new music team is doing a stand-up job with everything. Yeah, the new patrol area is awesome. As for Crucible and the new subclasses are great. They add niches to the character classes that weren't there before. In particular, the Titan truly now has a Slayer subclass, and I can only speak for him, but the Sunbreaker in PvP is outrageously powerful in PvP right now. I don't know if they'll patch it, but there is a bit of a justice element in there that says Titans have been kind of screwed over in PvP for the last year or so. It's about time we got a heavily overpowered subclass to roll with. But yeah, I've really enjoyed my time with the Sunbreaker. I'll probably stick to the Defender for PvE just because it is a very helpful PvE class. But yeah, I mean, I can only speak for the Titan. It's got its counter super role, it's got its Slayer role, and it's got its really support player role as well. So for all classes, I can say that most of them have now 3 distinct roles in the subclasses. That's great. Gameplay is coming to an end. Those are just my first thoughts on Tekken King after a week of playing. Might do an update video later on for my full review, but those are my first impressions. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. And yeah, Tekken King, really good. Enjoying it. Talk to you guys later. See ya.